Hello friends, and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be checking out a simple little platformer called Ascend by developer Rose Engine. This one is actually pretty great to talk about because honestly the premise is very self-explanatory. The actual name pretty much describes the whole thing. There's going to be an underground labyrinth that we find ourselves trapped within, and we must ascend it to leave. So we get 2 hit points. We get to play as this lady here who seems to be fairly skelefied right now, so we're going to go talk to this little rose over here and absorb all its color, and you can see in the bottom left corner we get our 2 little nuggets back, so now we actually have a little bit of color back to us. So we've got 2 options of how we want to start things off. We can either fall down this pit on the left, or we can head over to the right, which is the more traditional left to right path that most people tend to follow. I'll break the norm here. Somebody's got to do it, and we'll activate a little blue flame checkpoint over here. So this might set us off on a little bit of a different path to start, but I feel like things will probably end up linking back up in the end. Some kind of an awful, scary snail over here with spikes on its shell. We'll just avoid that. So apparently this game was made in just 4 weeks, and I think it has very, very well realized atmosphere and feels pretty much just fine to play. I don't really have too many criticisms other than maybe I wish there was a little bit more in terms of camera control and horizontal movement for our character. That's a thing that I run into a lot. Oh, that was a silly way to take damage there. So the thing that I run into a lot with games is, with platformers specifically, I feel a lot of the time like I don't have the best handle of being able to get in the way of the thing that I want to land on. And when you have to make very quick jumps based on how fast gravity pulls you down, that can have a bit of a difference in your overall gameplay reception. See, right now I'm just sort of under and overcompensating. I am playing with the 360 D-pad, by the way, which might be my downfall or helpful. I'm not sure quite which, but I was playing with the keyboard for the sound check, and that seemed to be just fine as well. I was happy to see that it even had support for a 360 controller right out of the box, as it were. So that definitely is quite helpful. What's going on over here? See, a lot of the time I find that I need to do a bit of jumping to figure out which direction I'm meant to be headed in. And in this case, I think I'll just keep going to the left. Sometimes I kind of wish I could maybe just use the right analog stick to just like pan the camera over or something, but I guess that's not really an option, unfortunately. So it looks like we've got some slamming blocks now, which we just need to avoid. Oh, there's a little song singing in the background. Sometimes something must be lost for something to be gained. Henceforth, the transaction between this colored rose and me gaining back my color myself. Very good. So we've done that. Loop back around and continuing on. So I guess we did actually need to go to the right. Maybe this is where the 2 paths converge again. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they even do converge. They probably do, though. The one guiding force that we have, though, is that we always need to be headed up. So, yeah, the only wrong way is down. It actually says that right there. So we don't know if this is the correct way, but it's not down, so it is. It's a good thing to know. So this reminds me a little bit of some of the Amon 26 games, like All of Our Friends Are Dead. It's got this really heavy atmosphere to it, and, you know, all of the music and the fact that there's no color, the fact that we're dealing with turning into, like, a skeleton version of ourselves, it's all, you know, pretty serious-seeming stuff. So I wonder if this is meant to be metaphorical, or if we're just literally traversing this evil dungeon. I don't know how to get the timing here. I think I want them to all land at the same time. See if these 3 can all line up. Maybe the next one here. Alright, that's close enough. Got it. Oh, we got up to 3. We got all of our color back. I didn't know that. Soft, sharp, don't speak now. Okay, so apparently you might be able to go past 2. I didn't realize. I figured it was just you're in, like, no color form and full color form, but I guess there's a gradient to that whole process. And I think some things always insta-kill you while other things don't. Seemed like I could land on spikes as long as I had 1 point's worth of health. So close. Are we? So close to what? Probably not the exit. I doubt that. One of the reasons that I'm pretty happy I'm using... Oh, I jumped too far for some, perhaps. Pretty happy that I'm using a 360 controller because the... Oh, geez, that's a bad thing for us there. I'm happy to have pressure-sensitive jumps. Not that you can't do that with keyboard, but it definitely takes a bit more finesse. Or maybe it's just that I'm more used to it on 360. But yeah, it didn't take very long for me to get acclimated to the controls. Just, again, what I mentioned about the horizontal is still a factor, I would say. Okay, so we made it. Okay, well, there we go. I read somewhere that there's an alternate ending to this if we happen to make it out with multiple health points, which I'd like to see, but I don't know how long it is, and I don't know how I need to partition off my health when we get to that point. Make peace with the path ahead of you. Okay. Probably the of you wasn't necessary there, but no biggie. It would be interesting to see if maybe if you held all of your health points from one checkpoint to the next, maybe it would, like, revitalize the area with color or something. I mean, I know that's a little bit extra ambitious, but I was just thinking, like, what things could you do to make it feel like this area is more alive? Because right now, the only things that are really... Oh, I got trapped under the platform. That sucks. The only things that are really animating other than my character are just these platforms and those crusher blocks. And there's probably more out there, or I guess the snails as well are also animated. But it would be kind of neat if there was a little bit more happening maybe in the foreground and background. But then again, that's one of those things, again, that you probably wouldn't do if you're given a small budget of time for creating an experience like this. And, you know, for what it's worth, this seems fine. I'm not really complaining, just thinking about bigger, better stuff. Alright, there we go, get that together. There's one spot that I noticed that the camera's like a big problem, and I think it might be coming up here. I didn't play like hardly any further than this. It was maybe like 1 or 2 more jumps for my sound check, but I was just seeing what the scope of this was. Okay, whoa, I lived. Oh, I didn't live, actually. I thought I did. I didn't. Let's try that again. And jump over that, land on this, then see right here, there's a checkpoint that you can't see where that block underneath me is anymore. And normally that wouldn't be a huge issue, except, you know, there's basically spikes in every direction under me, so I've kind of got to land that jump. Oh, geez, and I didn't realize that the block wouldn't intersect with the other one. So there's some things that I need to learn here. Oh, perhaps I'm meant to actually go that way. That's probably a good way to compensate for not being able to see there. It does take a bit longer, but, you know, patience is a virtue, as they say. So how come in that case those two blocks go through each other, but dealing with that, that spike block that falls, that actually will stop the other block, or cause it to rebound in the other... Oh, I had that checkpoint and everything. Also, will it grab my character off the block is another consideration. You know, one other thing that I guess I was concerned with, and I don't think it's really a big factor, in fact, it didn't really negatively impact me at all in my playthrough so far, but I could see it being an issue sometimes. Oh, is this the end? Sometimes you can fall in a position where maybe you could land on another checkpoint and basically cause yourself to go back in time, which wouldn't necessarily be very ideal. Okay. Yeah. Got it. That's why you bring more health. Okay, so I didn't end up getting the good ending there. Thank you for playing. Rose Engine are Alex Swerger and Barbara Whitman. Sorry if I totally butchered your name on that one, Alex. Music by Incomplete Tech. Okay. Very nice. I think the atmosphere was great on that. I would love to see more. I'm not sure what the best way to partition that up would be. Maybe something like... oh, it just resets me. Maybe something like a scapegoat would work, where you've got kind of like a bunch of hubs that all sort of lead to different places and let you conquer different elements of the game a little at a time would be kind of a cool way to do it. That way you could really kind of experiment with different processes of how, like, the different ways that you could kind of fool around with platforming puzzles, different enemies, different obstacles, and things like that. Maybe they could be thematically distinct in that manner, and I think people always enjoy when there's sort of like a series of worlds that feels like some progression, whether that be just visually or if it's visually and actually, you know, objectively changed obstacles. You know, those are all nice things to see. And, well, I do like the oppressive nature of this. I guess, you know, you could use that as a foundation to kind of build off in different directions. You could have multiple themes that all kind of have the same cohesive elements to them, whether that be just through the lack of color or using repetitive textures, various things like that that give you the same feeling of dread all throughout. And even just the music that ties it together, I think would work pretty well too, because honestly this would function just fine as background noise to whatever area you want to put it in, I think. As it doesn't feel like a thing that... The way music can become sort of looping and distinctive and maybe even a little bit intrusive over time, I don't find that this would do that same thing, personally. I think it's just sort of around. What does that say? A loving embrace, never to be felt again. Oh, okay. I also like the idea of having a bit of a narrative that goes through just by picking up those little bits of health along the way. I don't know that I'll necessarily make it back to the end again here, but I did want to at least just show the other path and see where it converges, and I'm pretty sure it's doing that here. Yep, the only wrong way is down. This place somewhere underground. So as we found out, we seem to be a skeleton lady. Oh, we've actually gotten up to 4 HP now. Alright. Well, I think it's definitely possible if you have a sufficiently good run to get through this without taking much damage, but it's going to take a little bit of practice, I think. This is also, like, right here is a pretty tough one to get through. Oh, see, that was my opportunity, I think, right there. Wait. That would have worked, but it didn't. Well, we got back up to 4 again. I would have liked to see if we could get 5, actually. There might be another one up ahead, though. What was that about? You see my character seemed like it was kind of warping a little bit to the right. Is there another flower over here? No. I guess this is just another path that leads in. I do like this level design. It's rather creative, actually. Having 2 converging paths that you can't really tell where they converge is kind of cool. I wonder how actually that might be able to work into like a bigger scope. And I guess, well, the next natural progression from there is to take it to like a Metroidvania type thing. Well, maybe not Metroidvania per se, but Metroidvania in the same way that like a Zelda game is, with lock and key mechanisms and shortcuts. That could be fun. I could see there being a few ways to iterate on that. Whoa! Can't believe I made that jump, actually. I didn't expect that I would. This is a tricky spot here, actually. I need this guy to be way up in the air when I make that jump. Okay, got it. See if we can get to 5 health. I'd like to see that. There's gotta be another flower coming up here, right? I feel like I took a pretty drastically different path this time. Oh, no! Oh, and then it says so close. You're just trying to insult me now. I think if I go this way, I don't have to do that one really, really tricky jump that's like pixel perfect, which might be the safer way to go strategy-wise to keep your health if that's what your goal is. I'll give it one more attempt here. Yeah, so the character totally seems to like magnetically get pulled sometimes. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe it's just the instances of the actors budging up against each other. Oh no, I've lost all my health. Alright, well, looks like I'm awful at platformer games. Who'd have thought? Anyway, that's going to be Ascend. Very cool. You should check it out yourself, see if you can get to the end with full health, or whatever that constitutes, whether that be 2 or more, or all the way up to like 4 or 5. I don't know if you can do 5, but give it a shot. You get as many flowers in you as you can. You'll come back as a normal lady, I suppose. But cool game. Definitely enjoyed it. Give it a download at the link below in the description, and let me know what you think in the comments. I definitely appreciate any feedback on this. By the way, you can duck. I don't know if it really does anything. Maybe there's like a super jump if you... No, there's not. Alright, I just thought for a second, like, what if there's a tool I've been missing out on this whole time? It could be. Occasionally I do miss out on obvious things. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Have a great night, everybody.